This is a 2024 Lexus LC500 and it represents the last of a dying breed, unfortunately. It's a 5-litre naturally aspirated V8 producing over 470 horsepower. You have to wring it out to get the best out of it, and it sounds incredible. Not only that, but look at this styling. It's made to rival cars such as the Jaguar F-Type, the Aston Martin Vantage even cars like the Bentley Continental GT, and some say even the Ferrari Roma. But this actually starts to look like really fantastic value when you look at those other cars, because this, when new, was between 80 and 100,000 pounds for a really nice spec one, whereas those other cars, they kind of start from 150 plus. So unfortunately, it is a bit of a dying breed, these GT cars with these large naturally aspirated engines. There's not many cars in production, especially here in the UK anymore, that have this sort of setup. So I'm here to enjoy every moment of it and share it with you guys. So please join me as I take you on a full tour, get it out on the road and tell you what I think. But before we do that, if you're looking to sell a car, please use my CarWow affiliate link in the description below. Makes it super easy. Just punch in your reg and they will come to you and collect the car if you're accepted by one of their dealers. And also, if you're looking to purchase a used car, Players Cars Premium will make it super easy. We can find you any car you want, text you 24/7 via WhatsApp, so no waiting around for pesky emails, free home delivery, and as low as 7.8% APR, which is one of the best in the country at the moment. So if you're looking to buy or sell a used car, links in the description below. So let's talk about specs and pricing with the LC500. So this has been discontinued now, but only fairly recently due to changes in the Lexus lineup and due to not very great sales here in the UK anyway, which is a shame because I do think that this is a very good looking car and has a lot of merit as well. So it includes the same naturally aspirated 5-litre 2UR GSE as some of the other F cars, producing around 460 horsepower, 530 Newton meters of torque, around that, mated to a 10-speed automatic they call Sport Direct Shift, which is quite a lazy gearbox, but also quite responsive in some ways as well. It will do quite quick shifts, but it's quite smooth. And what it does mean is, because there are 10 ratios, you might think that you're changing gear all the time, but actually they're spread out in a really good way. And the higher end ones are almost like overdrive, so you'll be using those effectively exclusively for when you're on the motorway. So when you're doing 70 miles an hour, for example, this thing's only doing just over 1500 RPM, which makes it a bit more fuel efficient. Talking of that fuel efficiency, surprisingly okay for a V8 of this caliber. So I've been achieving an average of 25 mpg, so mixed driving of around town and highway. It's especially good on the highway. I've got it up to sort of 28 on the highway, which is actually not bad for something like this, is it at all? And it's a front engined Grand Tourer, so it's not got any crazy kind of 50-50 weight distribution or anything like that. It's a very heavy car, around 2 tons, and you do feel that weight. So it's definitely more of a Grand Tourer than a sports car, which is where I guess the RCF comes in a bit lighter weight and that kind of thing. 0 to 60 comes in around 4.3 seconds ish, top speed of 168 mile an hour limited. There are also 4 seats, but the rears are very tight, as you will see when we go around the tour. That V8 also is partly tuned by Yamaha engineers, who are the same people who did the Lexus LFA, and that should tell you something about how this sounds, shouldn't it? This is also built at a special Lexus plant, the same as the LFA. This is significantly cheaper than a Vantage or a Porsche 911 or anything like that, but it is a very different car. A 911 is much firmer and more direct. This is more of a kind of luxury experience. Let's take a little look around it then and actually see what you think of the styling. I think this is a gorgeous car. It's finished in this nice metallic grey, and you can see we've got a really nice light cluster at the front. These bottom ones are the indicators, and then you've got this signature Lexus front grille, which you've come to know from a lot of their other vehicles as well. So yeah, it's a really nice kind of striking front end, very similar to their concept cars of the sort of early 2000s as well. When they were first designing the LFA, some of the concept cars looked quite a lot like this. And these are the smaller wheels as well. You can get larger, more sort of concept car looking ones as well, but these are smaller. They're in like a shadow chrome finish, which is quite nice. And as we head down the side of the car, you can see it's got quite a striking side profile. Very, very nice coupe. It's got very Aston Martin-esque doors to it, I think. So what I'll do is I'll hop in and I'll get the top down, just so you can see exactly what it looks like with the roof down as well, because I think that's even better. And then at the back here, once again, a very striking design from Lexus. You can see the kind of signature of the rear lights there. You've got some chrome integration. You've also got these kind of fins that run along here as well, and then the LC500 badging, as well as a rear camera. And then down the bottom we've got some real quad exhaust pipes, which are hiding behind a kind of facade in the bumper, which is a bit of a shame. I would have liked to have seen exposed exhaust, but again, this is designed to be more of a classy coupe design than kind of an aggressive one. So yeah, I think it's kind of a mix in the middle. It's got quite an aggressive stance to it, but at the same time, very classy in the way that it's designed. There is also some active air scoops that you can see on the side there. So that one goes through over to this area, the side air dam. So as I'm sure you'll agree, even more stunning with the top down. Look at this, with the Palomino leather interior, which is like a really nice tan combination. And with that roof off, you can see it really does make a difference. You've got a little wind deflector at the back there as well. Makes it a lot nicer in the cabin during really breezy times. Just look at this interior, it's really quite stunning. So yeah, I think in terms of looks and appearance, this thing really does hold its own against its rivals. I think compared to like an Aston even, this does look great on the road. Some won't like the front end styling, I think. And I think that's probably the most tame element of it, especially because it's kind of got the Lexus signature grille and that kind of thing, but I do think it looks the part. So let's dive into the interior. It's worth noting, as you can see here, rear legroom is absolutely not, I'm not even going to attempt to get in. It's just completely non-existent, even though you can obviously house things back there. There is actually Isofix back here as well, so there's Isofix points at the bottom there, and these lovely kind of holders for the seat belts as well, which is really nice. And then you can see the Mark Levinson surround reference system speaker grille there, so it's very, very nice. Like, all the quality is still fantastic back here, but you certainly won't be fitting anyone back there, not an adult anyway. But yeah, obviously it's good that they're there because you can get a baby seat in there or chuck stuff on the back seats. But yeah, it really is a 2+2 as they call it. So yeah, I quite like the back styling as well, but what's interesting is there is a tiny hidden button under here to access the sort of trunk, the boot area, and it's fairly generously spaced, to be fair. Like, it does actually have a completely passive part for the boot lid, which is fine to me, or for the roof, sorry. So I think actually that's better because it means that you're not worried about what's going to be eaten into this space. So it is, you know, a fairly decent sized space. I can actually fit my camera bag in there quite easily. Underneath this area is the battery. It's just like a carpeted area that stays put, and then underneath this area there is just some extra storage for like a jack and that kind of thing. And there are kind of like slightly annoying carpeted areas that you kind of get to fiddle about with to get them back in the right place. But there's a couple of practicalities in here as well, like there's some tie hooks, there's also like some straps. It's not terribly impractical for this type of car. I think it's probably been designed with golf clubs in mind. So yeah, really I don't think that's bad going. Obviously you can fit a couple of suitcases in there, that's all you're going to need, isn't it really? Plus you can chuck stuff on the back seats because no one's going to be sitting there, are they? So stepping inside the LC500, the lock and unlock situation is pretty cool. So what you do to lock it is you just go up to it, press the handle in, and it will lock. Then press and hold this to unlock, and then it will open right up, which is nice. And you do get some nice thick glass, which is also tinted, so you have like a mild yellow tint to the sort of the glass, the mirrors, and the windscreen as well, for that kind of extra protection from the sun. And it has a really nice, classy, this is a green LED indicator for when it's locked, which is nice. And this leather is just lovely. This is leather throughout the cabin. This one obviously being an optional fully tan, if you like. It's a very, very classy option. Some people will hate this. It's a very Marmite colour, isn't it? And I think it is quite over the top. Like, they could have maybe done a bit of two-tone on the dash or something like that. But at the same time, it is quite exciting to have something a bit different. I think it pairs really nicely with the metallic grey as well, and the shallow chrome wheels. So as we head inside, we've got this really nice kind of pattern. This reminds me of like boat design, where you've got this sort of pinstripe up here. This kind of looks like a carbon material, but it's like a, I don't know what it's made of. It's not leather, it's like a, it's smooth though. And then you've got leather on here. This is padded as well. These lines come up to this really nice door handle, and then you've got your memory seat controls and that kind of thing. No bottle storage in the side here, but you do have some standard pockets for storage and that kind of thing, which is handy. And then as we head inside, we've got Lexus mats, and we've also got Lexus side sills, big chunky side sill. And you can see these chairs are electric as well. They are relatively firm for a GT car, I would say. There's not an awful lot of give to this leather, although you will be comfortable on a fairly long journey. It's just not quite as plush as some kind of family cars. It's obviously designed with still a little bit of sporting dynamic in mind, with these quite large bolsters and that kind of thing. But yeah, these ones do have also perforation for the ventilated and heated seats, and you get these nice, these are like kind of saddle brown holders for the seat belts. Even the seat belts are colour matched, which is pretty cool, isn't it? And this effect all goes into the back of the cabin as well, so everything in there it kind of matches up, which is really not quite nice. But it is a fairly straightforward setup. It's a mix of physical controls and modern stuff, so let's hop in and I'll show you around. So in this 2024 model, you'll notice that down here, the kind of touchpad that Lexuses normally have is gone, and we have a normal touchscreen up there. So if I press and hold the start-stop button, everything will adjust. So I get electric tilt and telescope on the wheel with memory, and the seat as well. We also get this nice startup animation that runs across both screens, which is really cool. And you'll notice this is kind of similar to what the LFA one looks like, with this physical large dial area here, which is quite fun, isn't it? So let's put the accessory power on. You'll see that that springs to life, and we have a rev counter in the center there. On the outside, we have your temperature gauge, and then you've also got fuel and mileage and that kind of thing in there. It's all pretty straightforward, and there are also a few different bits that you can do with this middle menu. So you can control it with the steering wheel controls here, which are physical, and in here you can have a look. You can go and look at the range. You can have, there's a tire pressure monitor, there's also a G meter, tells you what gear you're in out of the 10 gears, and that kind of thing. So there's a few different things to choose from. I just normally keep it on the MPG. So my MPG average has been around 26 total. Quite a traditional steering wheel with nice perforated leather side bolsters. You've also got brushed metal paddles, which have quite a nice satisfying action to them. They are steering wheel mounted. And then you've got your cruise control settings here, and on this side some media controls. Quite basic, but does the trick. Only thing I don't like is this weird, this is like scratchy horrible plastic in here, but I guess it looks all right. Over the side here, you've got a vent on a slant, and then you've also got your trip information stuff here, all nice leather with nice stitching, and then some basic controls down here as well. You've also got, similar to in some of the other Lexus cars, the drive mode selector up here. So this one does the drive mode select, so you can put it up into the Sport Plus mode, which then changes the rev counter, very similar to the LFA, which is cool. You can also go down into Eco mode, which then brings up an Eco display here. And this, I think, probably uses cylinder deactivation and a few other bits. It's quite clever in the way that it does things. And as you look around the cabin, things are very analog in a good way. So again, we've got this nice swooping design up the door card there. You've got a nice button here, which gently opens the glove box area, which is fairly small, but does the trick. You've got quite an old-fashioned looking vent over there, and nothing too fancy here, but just vents that are built into the dash. And again, some nice high-quality plush leather materials wrapping throughout. This one even has leather right up to the headliner, and also a matching headliner on this convertible interior. Visibility out the back is pretty good for a cabriolet as well, apart from the large pillar, obviously. But overall, things are pretty good. You get these nice tinted mirrors, which have blind spot monitors on them in the corners. Everything's pretty well damped in here as well. These feel kind of probably the cheapest part of the cabin, I would say, in terms of the quality of them. But yeah, it's not going to lose any points from me for that, to be honest. There's also over here a single button to turn off traction control, and also a snow mode. Weirdly though, when you press that, all it does is comes up saying traction control off. But there's no, this light doesn't normally stay illuminated for very long, so you can't always tell whether traction is off or on, which is a bit bizarre. But yeah, physical climate controls in the middle, lovely, we love that. So we've got toggle up and down, which is always a nice thing. Off and auto, it's exactly what you'd expect. These though aren't metal. They look metal, but they're like a cheap feeling plastic, which is a shame, because I would expect this to feel a little bit like, you know, even in an Audi you get nice clicky sort of buttons there, so that's a bit of a shame. Hazard switch up here, and then down here you've got the reference Mark Levinson audio system, which is fantastic. It's got some surround effects. You've got grip handles for your passenger, two sides, which is quite interesting, isn't it? They're going to be holding on for dear life over there. And then you've also got a cup holder, which is beneath a little leather wrapped portion at the top, but it is kind of an annoying placement because it comes up in front of the climate controls here, but you know, it is what it is. And then you've also got down here your camera view button. You've also got power and volume for your infotainment. You've also got track skip, so there's a couple of physical controls there for it, and a shortcut here for your heated steering wheel and heated seats, which is nice because it means that you can just press that and physically get to that menu. Under here, this is like a little command center for the roof, so you can go under here, flip it up, and this is the button that brings the roof down, and this also does all of the windows up and down as well, so that's pretty cool to be under there. So kind of a shame that there's no start stop button under there, isn't there, because there are some cars that did that really well. And this lovely leather wrap shifter is all fancy, but it's effectively the same as what you'd find in a Prius or something. So it's a standard Toyota shifter, so you go up for reverse, down for drive, and then there's also down again for manual mode, and there's a park button, auto hold, nothing crazy. And then under here, this whole center console area slides backwards, again really nice plush leather wrapped soft two cup holders, which have like an adjustable thing, and then you can also press this button under here, open this area up, and there's a little storage area there with some power, so USB-C, A, and your cigarette socket. So yeah, that only opens towards the driver though. Now this infotainment screen, this has been majorly upgraded, so it is touchscreen now, which is good, and of course, as you can see, it's got full Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is good. It's all wireless. So if I head back to the Lexus infotainment, it is still quite basic, so it's the standard sort of Toyota system. So you go in, you've got a bit of adjustment with your EQ and stuff like that on this audio system. You've also got access to a few different options and things like that, but in general, there's not a lot on here. There's not a lot you can actually do, which is a bit of a shame, but it's just a common thing on Lexus and Toyota. They've just got a very basic infotainment system, and most people are using their phones anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just a bit of a shame that this doesn't have any more features and gimmicks, because cars like, you know, Genesis, for example, that have similar sort of interiors and luxury to this, have a much more advanced and interesting infotainment system now. But at the end of the day, you're going to be focusing on the car experience in this, aren't you? So yeah, put foot on the brake, and I'm going to start it up now. There you go. And it springs into life. The electronic parking brake is down here. It's a toggle. It's a bit awkward to use, and it doesn't come on automatically, which I find really annoying, and I can't find a setting for it, so that is a bit of a shame. But what I will show you is that it has one of these really nice reverse cams that actually paints a picture underneath the car for you. So as I'm driving forward, you can see that I've actually got a view of what's underneath the wheels based on the way the camera's seeing, so I can kind of see where like the edges of stuff is. So I can see these posts over here, I can see where they are in relation to my wheels. It's a really cool setup, and the top-down view obviously helps a lot with kind of width perception as well when parking. As you can see though, this screen isn't always the brightest in direct sunlight conditions, but it's perfectly serviceable and it's really responsive. You know, I've got no complaints about it at all. It's certainly better than the previous Lexus system, which you control with the touchpad. Obviously that was a bit more useful while driving, but most people will just set and forget this anyway. So without further ado, I think it's time to get this thing out on the road and show you what it's like to drive. So out and about in the LC500, and what can I say other than that this is really easy to daily drive. And by that I just mean it's quiet and nice when you potter around town, and it's super smooth with that 10-speed box. Because the nose isn't too low, it's super easy to get in and out of places, and speed bumps really aren't a problem either. So it's just really nice. Get it into Sport Plus though, and give it some beans. And you've got a really interesting recipe. Let's crack the windows open just a touch, so you can hear a little bit of that. I'm keeping traction on here. Oh, this thing just rips. And in Sport Plus you can hit the chip too. So if you really give it some. So yeah, this thing will allow you to do proper burnouts and really get the tail out, but it is quite composed in doing so thanks to those chunky rear tyres. And yes, it is quite a weighty car, but again, you can really control that. It sounds great. I'm gonna close the windows just because it's a little bit tricky out there to understand otherwise. Let's get down into second, and got some more challenging corners here. I can feel the weight transfer quite easily, and the thing is, the chassis is quite composed. For a car of this size and weight, it feels more maneuverable than you might expect, especially as it pushes you into a turn. There's quite a lot of confidence to be had in that, which is really nice. One area it does fall a little bit short, I would say, is the brakes. When you stamp on the brakes, the pedal feel is quite soft. So if you're really giving it some, it can feel a little bit iffy in certain situations. But yeah, I mean, most of the time you're going to be cruising along in this as a GT car, aren't you? And so that's not really going to be too much of a great concern. Because it's naturally aspirated, that throttle response is pretty immediate no matter where you are in the rev range, and you do have to wring the engine out a little bit and rev it up to be able to get to those kind of peaks of torque and that kind of thing, which is good because it just gives it that old school feel. Obviously there are loads of ratios and you would have thought that would be an issue, but actually not really. Those kind of top end gears are only really made for the motorway, so you know, down here I can really just smash it through and not have any issues. And when you're on the motorway, when you're doing 70, if you put it into eco mode, it's actually only doing like 1500 RPM, so it actually becomes quite efficient. I've actually seen as high as like 36 mpg in this, which is astounding really, isn't it? Yeah, with traction on, you really don't feel like you've got any worries, and the gearbox is super responsive in the Sport Plus mode as well. But the thing is, when you want to be sensible, you can just pop it down into comfort or into like your eco modes, and it becomes really civilized and really nice. The 10-speed box is quick and efficient around town, and there's not really much lurching away from the lights, which is always good. I'm currently pottering around town 30 mile an hour in 5th gear, and you can barely hear the car. It's buttery smooth, and you don't really feel the shifts either as it goes up and down because of all those ratios. 33 mile an hour now, 6th gear, super smooth. But of course it does mean that it's not quite as sharp and responsive as some of the key rivals. I do think it is super cool that you can bash it off the limiter and that kind of thing, but then when you want to be civilized, it is just a really comfortable cruiser. I've got to say, I have been impressed by the ride quality, and yes, it is bigger and heavier than some of those key rivals, but it's a lot cheaper as well. So when you look at things like the Bentley Continental GT, the V8 Vantage Aston Martin, the BMW M8 even, those cars are going to be significantly more expensive and a little bit more hardcore, aren't they? So if you want something that's a little bit more of a day-to-day car, this is going to do it really well. Like I said, like, I've not had any worries about the height of curbs or speed bumps or anything like that. It's got enough ground clearance to cover those. The only complaint I really have about this being like a GT car, like a long distance cruiser, are these seats. These seats are quite firm, and they're supportive, don't get me wrong, and they're not firm in a bad way. It's just that after a couple of hours you're probably going to feel a little bit achy, and there's no massage function to kind of keep you going. You will be able to get a decent distance though, because like I said, with mixed driving, and that's not me being too sensible, I've achieved around 26 mpg, and if you can kind of get 35 on a long run, then you're doing pretty well, aren't you? And at the end of the day, this thing's done probably around 400 miles to the tank when I've been driving it over the last week or so. So, you know, if you want to do a few long distance drives, then it's going to be pretty decent for that. But then when you put your foot down, it's just a super immediate response, and it just gets on with it. And that V8 sounds sensational, doesn't it? Even with the windows shut, I can still really hear it come to life. It just sounds awesome. The hybrid isn't going to do this car any justice with that 6-cylinder. This V8 is what you need. It really is. And it is the last of its kind, unfortunately. Like I said, this one really is the sweet spot with the newer infotainment and that kind of thing, but it still feels very analog, even though it's a kind of a paddle shift transmission, quite a modern transmission at that. It still feels super old school because of that naturally aspirated V8, and they're just not going to produce things like that anymore, are they, unfortunately? And yes, you can feel the weight of it. It's not going to be as direct, you know, even with the turning, it's sharp, but it's not particularly agile in comparison to a Porsche 911 or an Aston or something like that. Like, this is going to feel a little bit heavier and a little bit more of a cruiser, but at the same time, I am honestly thoroughly impressed with the way it handles for a car of this size and weight. It just shifts around exactly where you want it to, and I can feel the back end. I can feel it gripping the road, and I don't really have much worry that it's going to suddenly slip out on me, which is the most important thing, isn't it, really? The traction control does a fantastic job of managing that, and it is literally just one button up here to turn it off, so that you can really mess around. And I think there are too many modes as well. You've got custom, normal, comfort, eco, sport, sport plus, and there doesn't seem to be a drastic difference between all of them. It's just that I've been using eco for the most part for just cruising along, you know, it upshifts really quickly and smoothly, and then put it in sport plus for really messing around, bashing it off the limiter, driving like crazy. So obviously there are middle grounds, but I don't find there's a massive difference between them. It's not like in some cars that have dynamic chassis control that, you know, you switch it into comfort mode and instantly it feels like a Rolls Royce. This doesn't feel that different in terms of setup from one mode to the other, apart from the sort of the throttle response and the gear changes. It's so quiet and serene though when you're just cruising around that you could really live with this day to day, and there's enough space in the boot for a set of golf clubs or a few bits of luggage, and yes, the rear seats are not practical, but this is a lot of car for the money. And people say, oh, you know, it's really expensive. Yes, it is, but when you compare it to those rivals, it starts to look like a bit of a bargain. I think the issue for some people will be that, yes, Lexus is a prestigious badge, but it's not as prestigious as Porsche and Aston Martin and Bentley. So, you know, if you really want to stand out from the crowd, then maybe one of those cars is right for you. But these represent really good value for what you're actually getting here, and I think they're going to hold their money too. It's good fun, but it's not too hardcore. It's still a Lexus. I've still got a Mark Levinson reference sound system, which sounds phenomenal. I've still got all of this tan leather, which looks sensational, and it looks fantastic. It gets views everywhere it goes. People ask what it is, people are curious about it and say that it looks beautiful. It does look very Aston Martin in a way. And the fact that there are touches and hints of Lexus LFA here and there as well, both in its production and its design, just makes it feel more special than some other cars. As long as you don't expect it to be luxury car ride, and as long as you don't expect it to be Porsche 911 Agile, I think you'll be very happy with this as a happy medium, a really good compromise. It's not the sort of compromise that you think, I bought this because, you know, I couldn't afford something else or because it was the next best option. It's a compromise because you want to be able to drive it day to day, but you still want it to feel special, and you still want to be able to do this. Oh dear. Do you know what, as well, on a personal level, this is important for me as well, because this car represents me following and achieving my dreams to do this job, thanks to you guys, and I really do appreciate it. All the likes, comments, subscriptions, it goes such a long way. And being able to drive cars like this that I once sort of watched on TV and thought I'll never in a million years be able to get one of those, and I've had this on loan now for over a week and just been pottering around in it and enjoying it. And yeah, it really is quite surreal, and I have you guys to thank for that. So yeah, I actually feel quite emotional driving this thing. It's just a bit of a milestone, you know. And that's kind of what this sort of thing's all about, isn't it? It's about making people feel special, cars that you bond with, and I think that this is going to be one of those, because it is just that little bit different from your Lamborghinis, your Ferraris and stuff like that. It's not got that same kind of raw appeal, but this is going to look absolutely fantastic in Monaco or on the French Riviera with the top down in the right spec with this sort of tan leather, or they also do like a nice blue and cream. There's all sorts of really nice combos. I wouldn't go for, like, if you go black on black, you've lost the point. This is all about classy spec. Also, because it's a Lexus, you know it's going to be reliable, don't you? So this roof, for example, it's just going to work forever, isn't it? And it's going to be fairly reasonable to fix. And this engine as well, they've even put a soft limiter in so that when you start the car, you can't go above 4,000 RPM so that you don't damage anything. That's super important, isn't it? So yeah, I feel like you're just going to have a bit more confidence in this than other kind of supercars. And I thought I'd get the roof down just for one last time, so please do excuse the wind, but I just wanted to enjoy the open air. The convertible is definitely the way to go in a car like this, because you can just really enjoy it and get out and about when the weather's nice, enjoy the sound, enjoy the comfort, and know that it's not too difficult to live with. Lexus warranties are great, the after sales are great. It's just going to be nice, isn't it? So let's get her in Sport Plus. I'm going to put my foot down and I'm just going to let you guys enjoy this with me, because the 5-litre naturally aspirated V8 is not long for this world, is it, unfortunately? And we have to preserve them, we have to enjoy them, and that's what I'm going to do today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much to Toyota UK for lending me the car for the week. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Ha ha ha.